Okay, so my speech is entitled The Love and Sacrifice. Uh, so growing up as a Korean kid isn't the same experience as other kids. To be honest, it forces you to mature faster, and it does have a lot of pressure put on for better grades and schoolwork. Also, it's embarrassing to grow up with parents who don't speak English. Growing up, my parents were an embarrassment. For the longest time, they needed either my brother or me to translate for them. Reading mail, making calls, and talking to people for my parents became an infuriating chore. Eventually, every translation would frustrate me. My parents were extremely annoying in all of their requests and needs. It was like a job that consistently required me to drop whatever I was doing to help. I couldn't understand how my parents were so incapable of speaking a language that everyone else speaks. I was immature, but eventually I understood my parents. It was awkward to grow up with parents who don't speak English. The worst situations were parent conferences. Showing your parents to your teachers and peers is something children don't really worry about, but my parents were too embarrassing for me. They made me feel foreign and different, and it became one of my biggest insecurities. During parent conferences, I remember trying to keep them from going. Unfortunately, they always found out and would meet my teachers. I would sit there as an elementary schooler, reluctantly translating sentences they didn't understand. It's even more embarrassing to translate sentences that were about myself. The teacher would smile and speak slowly, but my parents had a hard time understanding the basics of the language. Arrogantly, I would get angry and upset at my parents. How could they not know English? I remember getting angry at my mom whenever she needed me to go to the bank with her. I felt like it was embarrassing and a complete waste of my time. She also needed me to call companies and other places for her. Frustrated, I wouldn't even respond when she would thank me earnestly after I finished. Although I was very unreasonable in being angry, I couldn't really blame myself. I didn't understand what my parents were going through. Uh, yeah, now that I'm in high school, I realized that all that my parents had done for me. While I would complain about spending 15 minutes helping them, they sacrificed everything for my brother and I. They left the country they're raised in for better opportunities for us. They came into a country where they can't even communicate effectively. As embarrassing as it had to be for me, it must have been unfathomably harder for them to ask their own child to help them speak English. They work all day to feed and clothe my brother and I, but we have been the most ungrateful kids. They have sacrificed more than I can imagine, and I have only realized it recently. So kids, kids shouldn't be ungrateful. Although parents can be infuriating, they're people too. They have circumstances and they need to be understood. As much as parents don't understand their kids, teenagers don't understand their parents. So there needs to be an effort on both ends to connect families. Families often show love and sacrifice. It's something that I learned to be grateful for. Small sacrifices that I could ever make would never amount to the amount of sacrifice parents make for their children. Uh, it's an amazing side of love that cannot be taken for granted. Parents' love is a gift to have. Everyone needs to learn to treasure it.